we're going to be working on Opal. Because I'm supposed to be working on the 66 Coronet. I'm supposed to be working on bed. But I had some problems. I was going to do a K-frame notch and try to put the Hemi in there all cheap-like and whatnot. But with the Holley mounts I went with, I can't do the US Car Tool K-frame notch. So I'm waiting for the Holley oil pan to come, which means we don't have to notch the K-frame and stuff anyway. So it was a couple $100 more, but in theory, this is going to piss less people off because it'll be done right. And you can always remove the Gen 3 Hemi and freaking put in whatever you want. Another small block, big block, whatever you want. So this is the right way to do it, but I was trying to do it on the cheap just to show people this can be done a little cheaper than they think it can. But can't do it with the mounts I decided to get, and I'm definitely not going with those wow-looking US Car Tool mounts. So anyway, we got another Poly 318 sitting on the ground here that came out of the Coronet. Seemed to run decent. We're going to stick it in Opal. We're going to stick it in a 64 crew cab D300. It's just been sitting around for a year. And I'd like to see this sucker driving. I could be driving it around. So let's do our best to get this sucker driving. All right? Let's get to it. Hey, first off, let's take out this radiator. I don't know if you guys remember this radiator. I had it sitting around. I believe it's for a B-body, and I just had it sitting around. So we made it fit in here. Kind of drilled it out. Actually, I think I welded on some of the tabs I did on the radiator itself. The radiator wasn't in that great shape, but we were just trying to get this thing running and driving. But it'll work to do that again here. But if we get serious about this, we're gonna need to get something a little bit better in there. Maybe something with a shroud too. I'm sure that the whole overheating thing, you'd probably like a shroud. But anyway, let's get to it. I'm gonna grab the impact. Man, I just love these trucks. There's so much room to work on stuff in these things. Just K-bars. Anyway. Oh, that's the wifey. Pause, you guys. Alright, sorry about that. Had to take a phone call. Okay, try to do this last one. ball studs maybe. Kind of nice that newer motor. So this uses a canister style filter, and I've seen a lot of issues on the early polys with their oiling systems. So this actually is going to have a spin-on filter, so this will have the newer style oiling system on it, which everything I read says it's better. I don't really have a lot of experience with these polys. I have a ton of experience with all these small block LA stuff, but just not these Polysphere 318s and 313s and all that. But, you know, the people, the old timers that I meet that frickin' have these things, love them. Love them. You go to car shows and see guys that have these in their rides. There's one of the stores, God, are they proud of them? Yeah. We'll see. Maybe I'm gonna fall in love with the one in here also. You know, once we get it running and driving. I still have big block plans for this, but like I said, said in another video, I bought the wrong bell housing. So I'm going to have to do some adaptation to make that work. Unless I can stumble across the right bell housing, but they're rare as hen's teeth for this 435, this MP435 with a big box. They're out there, they're just expensive, so. Alright, so what we're going to do here is take out the shifter so that we can unbolt the tranny, pull this back, drop it down, and then we can take the bell housing out with the motor. So we got a vice grip here. We're going to use it. Make sure we're neutral. Use this. Push down. Come on. Nope. Maybe I need to find a better angle to come at this. Push down. Turn it. And then it'll pop out. So push down, turn to the left, and then it'll pop out. You can see the grooves where the pins ride. But yeah, that'll help us out a bunch. Next, we're going to take off the parking brake cable and the speedometer cable. Drive shaft's already been disconnected off there. And then I'll pull the tranny bolts that bolted to the bell housing, and I'll pull it out and drop it on the ground. I don't know, it'll be a little hard for me to film that, but that's pretty straightforward. So, all right, let's see what we can do. We're going to try to pull the tranny with it, I've decided. there might be enough room. And that, being on by myself, that might give me enough. Well, I'll be able to change it all out on the floor. So, we'll see what happens. Try it the easy ways first. Or what sounds easier. Okay, so what's happening is the hump on the transmission, okay, you got the cross member here, okay, you got the hump of the transmission that comes down like this. It's catching the cross member and I can't lift it up because it's hitting the notch out in the firewall, right? So what I'm going to do is take the big giant blocks off. Yeah, the motor mounts are like jeepers. I mean, 3.5, 4 inches tall on this thing. So I'm going to take that off, and then I can actually drop the front down, and that should give me clearance on the firewall to bop the transmission over that cross member. Like I said, if I had another human being here, I would just pull the tranny off and do it that way. Maybe when we go to put it back together, I'll take the Coronet off the lift and spin this around and put it on in 2 different sections. Then I can use the tranny jack. But yeah, we'll get it off. I'm going to take those motor mounts off right now and we'll be right back. Okay, I can hear a bunch of you guys probably yelling at me who've done this before. I'm just going to remove the tranny. I'm just going to fight it. It's not on the lift. You know, looking at the shape of that thing, it's like the shape of a freaking potato. So it's really not going to sit on the jack, I don't think, for crap anyway. But I'm just going to manhandle it, and when it falls on the ground, I'm going to deal with it that way. Okay? So I'm going to take out the bolts. I'm going to slide the tranny out of there. Hopefully lower it down on the car or with the jack. And then we're going to take this damn thing out of here. Because listen, I know I've been off camera, but it looks a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I'll get it, okay? It's just, if you have a friend, that is how you should be taking this out. Not like this. But we got to get it out. So, I'm going to do it. See you in a little bit. Okay, so, like I said before, that little bundle of love right there is about, and I know I'm going to get the literal police on me, but that thing is about 865 pounds. I mean, not really, but my God, is that thing heavy, and it's shaped like a freaking potato. So you can imagine how it sits on a freaking jack. Whatever. We got her. Now, back to the motor. Alright guys, swapping this stuff over from the old engine to the new engine here. Well, new, but you know what I mean. Most of it's pretty straightforward, you know, oil pan, motor mounts, lower crank pulley, all that stuff. That's pretty easy stuff, but figured I'd show you guys something my pop showed me. Oh shoot, that was a pretty little kid when was pretty small when he taught me this, but something you never forget because you think, God dang it, that's the coolest thing. Nowadays, a loaf of bread is just about as much as a new bushing, but whatever, we're going to show it to you anyways. So you just take some white bread, whitest bread you can get, moistest. It's going to sound stupid, but you just jam it in your pilot hole. Find something that's relatively close in size. In this case, I'm using a breaker bar. Close in size to the inside dimension of your pilot bushing. And then you just tap that in. That bread's going to work its way in, and it's got to find a way back out, so it's easiest for it to curl around, and it just pushes that bushing right out of there. Like so. Yeah. Now I'll clean the bread out of there and tap that perfectly fine bushing into the engine we're going to use. Well, that took a lot longer than I expected it to, but yeah, look at this multicolored thing. Whew. We got a blue or turquoise and gray oil pan, turquoise frickin' bell housing, industrial gray valve cover. Yeah, anyways, whatever. We're ready to dump this thing in there, so let's get to it. Grab some there? Oh. Here. Alright, that was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Whew, getting that twisted in there. There's four mounts, okay? There's two bell housing mounts that come at an angle like this, maybe a 45-degree angle with studs, okay? Then there is two motor mounts that come at an angle like this. And I don't know if you ever tried to drop angled plates on top of angled mounts. It wasn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. Okay, it's enough complaining about it. I'm going to start tightening those up and just start bolting it back together. Yeah. I'm going to let the camera charge, and I'll get back with you guys if I see anything too crazy that you guys should really see. Otherwise, we'll take an overview of it and hopefully be firing this thing up later. All right, so got tired of working on the ground. We're having some problems, so I took the Coronet off the lift, got the truck up in there, used the tranny jack, got the tranny all bolted in there, exhaust bolted up. All right, now I'm going to lower it down and I'll start putting the radiator and the fan and all that stuff in. Okay guys, so it took a little longer than I wanted it to also, but such is the day, I think. Alright, got alternator hooked up, power steering pump's in, don't have belt for it, so that's not really doing anything. Clutch, slave cylinder, pretty much where we were before we started here. So the clutch, slave cylinder, and master cylinder, you know, that stuff isn't working right now. The drive shaft has a U-joint that needs to be connected, or replaced, I'm sorry. Just thinking about other things, but yeah, so a U-joint has to be replaced, so drive shaft ain't hooked up. I just want to see how this thing runs in here and kind of make sure. So we ran this, if you guys remember, we ran this when we took it out of the Coronet, you know, just a few weeks ago, but it was just on the ground, so we didn't have any water in it, none of that. Yeah, it should run. I mean, let's see what she does. We'll talk about that another time. Okay. Fire in the hole. Couple of noisy lifters. See if those end up shutting up here. whole lot works in here. Temp gauge is going up. Amp meters, back and forth, back and forth. Fuel gauge doesn't look like it's reading nothing. I don't remember. I know I dumped gas in here. That was last year though. That was a little over a year ago we did that. So that gas is probably pretty nasty. It's not smoking too bad. Some spilt oil. I'm waiting for the valve cover gaskets to come in. It'll be tomorrow morning, but yeah, that sucker just idle and just let that oil recirculate and heat up. And you gotta remember, this engine's been sitting around since, nearest we can tell, 1983, so 41 years. Had some water leaks when I started to fill it. I had to grab this hose off the bypass hose off the other engine. This one was too crusty and leaked right away. But yeah. Watch the temperature here while we burp the air out of it. Yeah, see, got some smoke rolling from that manifold. Frickin' valve cover gaskets are pretty much non-existent right now, so yeah, it's no good, but they'll be here tomorrow morning. So. It's got a little bit of a stutter to it. You can hear, you can hear some clickety clacking from lifters. Pop. All right. Well, I think we'll call this a. I think we'll call that a win for tonight. And I suppose we should check the fluids and whatnot, make sure there's no water going in the oil or anything like that. But yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we'll call that good for tonight. Let it cool down. I'll tack clutch and drive shaft, and then if the tranny seems to work up on here on the hoist, then we'll get into brakes. Cool. All right, see you guys in the morning. All right, guys, it's the next day. So warmed it up this morning. And I'm having problems with the battery on this camera. So I don't know what the heck's going on with it. But while the camera charged, again, we warmed it up and adjusted the valves because my dumbass thought about it this morning when I was talking it out with a buddy, and I was like, oh, smokes, I guarantee that thing has solid lifters. I'm just used to 318s having hydraulic flat tappets, but nope. So anyway, adjusted those, heated up, adjusted those, put it to spec. Book says 12 thousandths on the intake and 22 on the exhaust. So there was a couple of them that were out, wasn't too bad. Now she's pretty quiet. We still have an accelerator pump that's not doing pumpy things, but for now we're waiting for the clutch, master cylinder, and slave cylinder show up. I have my boy Lucas here.
Howdy.
He is going to help me. We're going to take the master cylinder and replace it. I got one from Delilah that was pretty near brand new. Old single pot death machines here. But yeah, I got one that will stick on there for the brakes for now. And then I have new hoses for the front drums that we'll put on there. And get a U-joint changed out in the drive shaft. We are going to see if this freaking tranny and everything works today. It's going to be awesome. All right. If we see anything interesting, we will get back with you guys. All right, guys. First time, and we don't know how long this thing, hopefully, will be moving under its own power. So, we got drive shaft hooked up. Why is there so many lights on down there? Huh, okay. Anyway, we got some wiring disasters going on here. We got the drive shaft hooked up, the brakes bled, the clutches bled. Yeah, I mean, we got the basics. We do not have an accelerator pump. So I rebuilt this carb last year, and it worked last year, but it's stuck now. So I'm going to have to dig back into that. So might fall on its face a few times before we figure out how to feather the gas here. But let's see if this sucker moves under its own power. Let's do it.
thing is tits. Jesus!
Like, honestly, it's just better than my G5. It literally goes to better than my G5.
It's just funner.
It is fun.
We gotta take a look at this hood latch. If we slam it shut, the primary latch doesn't disengage, so it's a real pain in the butt. So we're gonna take a look at that quick. I got a bungee on it right now. We don't dare. Yeah, she flew up on me pretty good. Should have known better. Oh God, the kid fell in love with it. He took your guys' K car, now he's gonna take your guys' frickin' Sweptline. Lights are on.
Oh. She's gorgeous. She is gorgeous.
One of one.
One owner finder on her. Alright, we were going to mess with that hood latch quick, and then we'll probably close this video out. Alright guys, so I know that we didn't, here's the deal. I had to get a lot of help on putting this back together. The tranny I needed help with, the brakes, the clutch master cylinder. So I didn't get a lot of footage of that because I had to utilize my help the best as possible. I know that's just an excuse and I gotta get better at it, and I will, but yeah, just stick with me and we'll try to make this better. But anyway, Opal is driving. She is driving, guys. I don't know what we're gonna do with it yet. I'm starting to feel like maybe I have too many vehicles. Maybe this one needs a new owner. I don't know. I don't know yet, but she's driving. We got the 66 Coronet engine transplanted out of there. We put it back in use in the old 64 because we're going with a built 5.7 Hemi in that. Gosh dang it, guys. She's driving. She needs a lot of work, but on the cheap, she's driving. Listen, the clutch on this thing is war. Like, I felt stupid putting it back together. But when you have an unknown vehicle, don't be afraid to just spend extra time to put it back together to see if it works. That's exactly what I was doing. I was seeing, does the tranny work? Does the engine perform at all? Does the engine overheat? We didn't know anything about it. We didn't know if it had good head gaskets. We know that it had sludge inside the engine, and we didn't know why. We know that that car was sitting for at least 41 years. So we knew nothing about the engine. We knew nothing about the tranny. We knew nothing about the rear end on this thing. So you got to do it on the cheap, and that's what we did. Now, I would feel comfortable saying, order a clutch kit for it. Here's another thing, though. It's really not that easy. I was able to find them on eBay, but none of my parts stores can get this clutch. It is a 10-spline, 11-inch clutch for an NP435, which I really find is pretty crazy because they put these things in Ford, Chevy, Dodge, I believe. They put them in everything, obviously different types clutches and all that, but I mean, I'm just saying, there's a ton of these suckers out there. There's a lot of these trucks out there that are still running this clutch. So it kind of blows me away. I can find them on eBay. I guess that's the route I'm going to have to take. Maybe dig into American Powertrain or something like that. But anyway, I'm rambling now. This sucker is running and driving, guys.
Get out there, work on your project. Do just a little bit each time you go out there, and it too will be running and driving. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just gotta be brought back to life. That's it.
Just gotta excite yourself.
Yep. And the June bugs are out. Ugh. All right, guys. Remember, we are Mopoor, and we introduced you to Lucas on this episode.
Nice to meet you guys.
Awesome.